Remembering Krishna. How to overcome challenges we face in remembering Krishna. This discussion would be led by His Grace Shital Prabhu. It's a part of discussion series. We had the first part by Avinash Krishna Prabhu 2 weeks ago, and we'll have other speakers also speaking on this. So we all know Shital Prabhu. Thank you very much for your nice services to Srila Guru and Srila Prabhupada in the Hare Krishna weekend programs. And you have your own teaching program also. So I'll make you co-host, and the podium is yours. Thank you very much. Hare.
Okay, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ulamitam Dena Tasmai Sri Gururve Namaha. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivo Naruttamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Naishtaki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Radha Gadadhar Bhagwan ki Jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Thai Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So first of all, thank you, His Grace Ambrish Prabhu, Hare Grace Param Pragya Mataji, and His Grace Krishna Samarpan Krishna Prabhu for actually giving me opportunity to actually present my realization on this topic, how to overcome challenges that we face, in remembering Krishna. So, yeah, first of all, I also want to thank you, His Grace Avinash Prabhu, so starting this discussion last week, and his nice realizations. Actually, I was hearing that actually, actually, I found it a little bit difficult preparing for this class because the subject is quite is very vast subject actually, because it can differ from person to person. Actually, your situation, and everybody have their own difficulties, to actually overcome the obstacles they may face, in their life to actually remember Krishna. So remembering Krishna and actually the devotional service, they are actually quite synonymous, So actually you can be engaged in various services, that you actually do it for Krishna, under the guidance of your spiritual master. So every service you do, actually, as long as actually you are very clear how you are actually performing the service, so that's very important, that actually if you have the mood right, that actually we are doing this to serve the Krishna or serve the spiritual master, then you will have the actually remembrance of Krishna while you're doing your services. So I was thinking, actually remembering Krishna or performing a devotional service, we know it's the same, or actually we are aware that actually when we do the actually services, actually we're doing it to actually improve our remembrance all the time. So I think it's very important actually that I realize that actually that should be the object, that why I do the service, not to actually actually pose myself, actually, or maybe we may sometimes hanker for the actually adoration from others, and Guru Maharaj says that actually one should perform the service in a way that no one should realize that we are performing the service. That's the way actually we should actually render service, which is very actually difficult for a materialistic person, to actually implement that practically, because everybody want to take a credit, especially in the material world. We are trained to take a credit even if we haven't done that job. So here actually, to remember Krishna, actually I was asking actually question to myself while meditating on this topic, that why we actually remember Krishna actually. So everybody who actually come on this path of becoming a Krishna conscious, so he's been preached, he's been preached by they're actually counselors, there are many preachers who will actually bring you to this path. So especially we are here in Hare Krishna WECAN program. So I have been preached by Amrish Prabhu, and that's how I got actually inspired. So what made me think that actually I want to continue this path, and actually I realized that actually remembering the Krishna is very very important, especially towards the actually throughout the actually your whole life, and especially when you leave this body. So that's what actually help us to actually go to actually achieve the Krishna's actually nature, the eternal nature. So remembering Krishna on a daily basis, or actually as Sir Srila Prabhupada says that one should remember Krishna all the time, 24/7, satatam, is not actually very easy thing to achieve, especially when actually we are neophyte like me, that we are very much actually distracted by many materialistic things, our material desires, our attachments, and also the responsibilities that we carry in our actually this actually material life. You could be a householder, you could be just a student at the moment, or you could be towards maybe actually the retirement, vanaprasth. So actually your challenges will differ, depending on where you are actually situated. So for me, actually, I was thinking from my perspective, but I was asking question in my program as well, is that, oh, what is your difficulty in remembering Krishna? I wanted to hear, what people actually have the practical difficulties. So rather than I'm actually speculating, oh, people might have this difficulty, that difficulty, I thought like, let's hear, what actually difficulty they face, So the first thing actually is that, as we have been preached, that actually everyone has to actually realize we are the spirit soul, and Krishna is the actually super soul or Paramatma, and there is a relationship between us, and one has to revive this relationship, our long-lasting relationship. That's why we chant every day, we perform the devotional service, we read the scriptures, and we try to actually remember Krishna, as far as possible, in our daily activities. So initially, why we are attracted, I was thinking that we know all this philosophy, but still I struggle, and I see many people they struggle, and they ask the similar question that they do not have time to actually, they do not find time, and that they can do the 16 rounds, or they have actually do not have the proper atmosphere, or their family is not supportive, or they're too busy in the job, so and so, their health problems. Actually, Avinash Prabhu touched on all those points as well, and actually, I was actually thinking on a similar points. So the reason means most of the people actually they are ready to actually uh, follow path, but actually everybody start with the material desires in their mind. So they know that actually if they actually worship Krishna, or actually meditate on Krishna, or chant His holy name, their material problems will be solved. They will be protected in some way. They are looking for some shelter. You know, so it's always start with the material actually desires. And some, even actually somebody want to earn more money, somebody want to actually progress in their professional life, whatever it may be. The desires are always there. But now actually, we have been following so many years, but and we know actually what is our actually real objective. So we know that anya bhilashata shunyam, one should have a zero material desires in performing devotional service or rendering service to Krishna. So that will actually a pure devotional service. Otherwise, it's always a mission bhakti. So I was actually comparing actually that what actually propel me to actually make this remembrance actually natural. I do not have to actually push myself or remind myself that I have to chant. So how to make it actually quite natural, that actually I should be able to remember Krishna. So the reason actually, one of the thing I found myself even actually thinking about me, or actually the people who are actually new on this path, that they do not actually think or do not take this chanting or devotional service seriously, is basically the lack of interest in this actually Krishna, or they do not actually think long term. So actually everybody's, normally people are, it's quite natural that they are thinking very short term, short term games, actually the benefit with very little effort. So they're very focused on actually having what is like a fast results coming through. And but actually nobody want to do a hard yards, even they know that actually achieving actually the Krishna prem, or actually going back to the Godhead, is a long way. You have to actually do a lot of tapasya, a lot of hard work, a lot of services. Even you do not like it, you still have to perform it. So to make yourself actually serious on this path is a challenge, that I also face, and actually I have seen similar problems. But if you think of actually materialistic things, actually where we see the actually tangible result, then we see that there are many examples that actually people are prepared to put the actually hard work. So even if you take example like actually if you want somebody want to actually progress in their professional life, or for example some competitive examination or something, I can see there are a lot of students who are actually studying day and night, putting a lot of effort to actually to achieve their objective. So there is actually materialistic motive, that actually they're propelling them to actually achieve it. So because they think that by achieving that, they might be able to make a money, they may be able to have comfortable life. So the ultimate goal is to actually become happy, that they can able to enjoy this life. So everybody want to have actually happy life, good health. Everybody want to live eternally. Nobody want to die, or nobody want to get old, or nobody want to have diseases. So it's ultimate goal. But actually when you think, when you look at the Bhagavad Gita philosophy, that if we actually put all our efforts just to actually achieve the materialistic things, be it money or anything, material opulence, that actually we are getting ourselves entangled more and more, that end of life, that we can degrade ourselves into the lower species of life, the animal life or whatever it may be, according to our own karma. But actually one has to understand that actually Srila Prabhupada says that even you are actually desire materialistic things, still you don't have to go anywhere else. You still need to approach the Krishna, because everything actually comes from Krishna, and Krishna can fulfill everyone's desires. So even to actually satisfy your material goals, still actually you should worship Krishna. I remember this statement from one of his lecture, and actually by actually chanting or rendering a devotional service, even with a material motive, the process is such that it will purify you, you know and your actually material contamination will go, and you will come to the understanding that actually yes, I have to render a service to Krishna, but actually I have to actually render it without the material motive. That's what the philosophy says, and we have been taught. So there is a verse that actually how to make the Krishna the actually the ultimate aim of the life. This very famous verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. Okay, chapter 2, verse 41. व्यावसायात्मिका बुद्धि एकेह कुरु नंदन बहुशाखा हि अनन्तश्च बुद्धयो व्यावसायिनम. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose. Their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched. So this very famous verse from Bhagavad Gita, and actually we always actually reference this verse many times, that actually the people, the actually the souls, who are resolute, one who want to be Krishna conscious, one who want to achieve the actually Krishna prem, they are very resolute on this path, so they have one aim, they are not distracted by actually other materialistic allurements. But actually who are irresolute, one who is not actually determined, his intelligence is many branch, where they are distracted on many other materialistic things. And actually I was thinking on this verse, and actually it can highlight, that actually we are creating problems in our own path, by having materialistic desires, because we want to enjoy, we want to satisfy our senses, and that's how we actually end up creating our own problems. So thinking actually about the various difficulties that actually we face, in remembering Krishna, or actually rendering the devotional services. So the one thing actually is very, very important that actually stands out is that actually our mind and senses, they are actually very strong, and it's very hard to actually control our mind, and also the actual senses, who are actually taking dictation from the mind. So mind actually, we have also studied in Bhagavad Gita, where it says that chanchalahi mana Krishna pramati balabhadridam tasyaham nigraham manne vayor ivashu dushkratam. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O son, O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling a wind. So, actually, here Arjuna is actually saying that it's very difficult to control the mind. It's almost as difficult as controlling the wind. Mind can actually go here and there. It's very chanchal, and it's actually, if you actually allow your mind, then he can actually drag you anywhere, and our senses will actually go. Actually, it will drag us. So it could be anything, materialistic things that actually that we think that actually by uh, actually focusing on those, or actually acting according to that, actually we will become happy. But actually, because as we say that actually more and more we actually engross ourselves in enjoying our senses, more and more we become actually entangled, and we end up in a miserable situation. So it is actually, there is a solution is given in next verse, that actually, where it says that uh, Krishna says that, "O mighty Arman, son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb this restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and detachment." So, suitable practice and detachment. So, mind is actually, is so strong and obstinate, and sometimes it's actually overcome the intelligence as well. So, actually, how to control the mind, and the solution given here is the best suitable practice, and actually detachment. So, as we know that actually we have always been taught, that actually Srila Prabhupada has given this lifestyle, actually you wake up early in the morning, you do the actually arti, and then you chant your rounds, you also cook and offer actually bhoga to Krishna, and you study scriptures and all those things. So this lifestyle actually, if you actually follow this instruction properly and try to implement this actually instruction in your life, then actually your life will be quite busy anyway, actually, executing these things on daily basis. That and your senses will be actually engaged, in actually serving Krishna or their devotees, so that there will be very less opportunity for us to actually our mind can go to other materialistic things. So the objective is to actually keep your mind engaged. So Srila Prabhupada always says that artificially you cannot control the mind, but you can change its engagement. So rather than actually you going to the party and enjoying some nonsensical food, you can actually, rather you actually prepare a bhoga, nice bhoga for Krishna, and then you can accept, what is the remnant as a actually prasad, and that will actually purify your senses and purify your actually material contamination as well, and that will help you remember Krishna. So actually the mind and senses, they are actually the very key things that actually one has to work on. And there are very practical actually instructions, that we have studied in Nectar of Instruction. It talks about actually first three actually texts, number one, number two, number three. So it's all about actually controlling the mind, controlling the actually your senses, and actually your activities in your daily life, how you can actually regulate them. So if you actually implement those actually instructions, then pretty much you can actually address those problems related to the mind and senses. So just to actually quickly go through that, the nectar of instruction. So the first one, actually, we are actually, I wouldn't go into the details, but actually, quickly, it is, I will quickly go through the translation. That a sober can tolerate the urge to speak, mind's demands, action of anger, and the urges of tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciple all over the world. So we have been actually studying this verse in our actually intermediate program, and we have actually studied that in the past as well. So actually, there is a process given how to actually control one's tongue and the actually senses as well. In the next verse, actually there is a do's and don'ts of a devotional service. So these activities actually given here is basically actually these are the instruction to actually how one should lead their life. These are the course of actually devotional service, the do's and don'ts to actually help ourselves to progress on this path of devotional service. The second text says that once devotional service is spoiled, when it's become too entangled in the following six activities. So eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. So the difficulties actually that one face, actually the one of the actually the top one is the actually the time. So people always complain that actually they do not have enough time that actually to chant or actually do the devotional services. So here it is says that actually eating more than necessary, collecting more funds than required, or doing the mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. So here actually, when we actually take this instruction, that actually we are working very hard to earn more and more money, or we are working actually over endeavoring for the things, mundane things that are actually very difficult to obtain. So one has to actually ask, question that is that really required, So when we talk about time, then actually one has to actually decide that what is more important in their life, where they actually need to dedicate their time. I can understand that everybody want to actually, they actually study professional goals. They go to the work, there is 8-9 hours, engaged in actually doing their material jobs or business as well. But actually, over endeavoring, actually that putting more and more effort in just earning the money, uh, this will definitely actually big drain on your time as well. And you will not actually, if you keep doing that, then you will not have time for your devotional things. The next one is talking unnecessary about the mundane subject matter. So, we will discuss that again, in the next instruction. But this is actually what is called a prajalp, So we are always engaged, in talking nonsensical things or discussing about the actually the politics or movies or Bollywood, Hollywood. Actually, there's now social media, is a big distraction. So again, we lose a lot of time in there as well, or practicing scriptural rules and regulations, for the just for the sake of following them, and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. So I think I will come to that. Actually, there is the next point that I wanted to discuss, and the associating with the worldly minded person. So association, the people with whom we associate. That is also very important, because if you are actually associating with a lot of materialistic people, your friend circle, or actually your family, if they are not in the same line, then it's very hard to actually focus on devotional things. So actually we have to actually make sure that we always remain in the association of devotees or like-minded persons, from whom we can actually derive the inspiration. So I have experienced this myself, that actually if you're in the good association with the devotees, then you are more likely to focus on devotional things. As soon as you actually go in the association of worldly people, so they could be your friends, could be family, you will instantly see that actually you are distracted, from the devotional service, or you try to actually give a second priority to your chanting or something, you try to postpone it, you do not find a time to read it. So the association is also very, very important. So all those things, actually that one has to actually have a very regulated life. As Srila Prabhupada says that there has to be actually a routine. It's not a routine, but one has to actually plan our actually days, very methodically. So I remember this actually instruction that where Srila Prabhupada says that for a devotee, he actually made this statement that organization and intelligence is very, very important to be successful in a devotional service. So organization and intelligence, one has to use his intelligence, and one has to be very, very organized. So once you know what you want to achieve, if Krishna is the actually ultimate goal, then you need to actually plan in such a way that actually all your activities remain focused or in relationship with Krishna. So even if you're doing the actually materialistic job, so whatever is the result of the job, somehow you have to engage in Krishna's service, and one's life has to be very, very organized, So I remember this actually transcendental mellow from His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, that actually I always actually stuck into my mind, that where he said that actually the devotional service begins with your shaving kit. He gives the actually example of a shaving kit where he says that how organized you keep your shaving kit. Uh, that actually shows how organized you are in your life. So you have to actually have your own shaving kit very organized. So that means every aspect of your life has to be very, very organized. In such a way that you will not waste time. Otherwise, I can see that actually some people are very disorganized, and as a result, actually, just because they are disorganized, they end up wasting a lot of time in getting actually things done, And I have experienced myself as well. So one has to actually plan very meticulously, because especially in today's life, actually, once you have a family and once you have actually the job, then actually that takes actually the large part of your actually time from a schedule on a daily basis. So unless you are actually very organized and dedicate actually a certain time for the chanting or doing your actually devotional services, then you will always run out of time actually to do the chanting or your services that is assigned to you. So actually the organization and intelligence, and you have to use your intelligence, you have to prioritize actually in such a way that actually you are doing your duties, but at the same time actually you are actually doing your services very meticulously. So if you do it on day-to-day basis, then it will become actually easier as we go. In initial studies is always a hard, that actually we have to actually force ourselves to do things. So when I actually start chanting, actually doing the 16 round is a big task for me. But actually, as you do it on regularly, and actually you push yourself to do, then it will become a second nature. But again, one has to be very, very careful that it should not become a routine. That actually you just chanting mechanically and your mind is not there. You're not focusing. So one has to be very alert, or you have to remind yourself, because mind will always actually wander off. But actually, you have to bring it back. Actually, when you study or chant, and more focused chanting you will do, actually you will feel it. And actually it will really help you to progress in your devotional service. So okay. So the second actually the point I was discussing here, just a minute. Okay, all right. The another difficulty I was thinking is the lack of enthusiasm. Actually, that one of the thing actually I was meditating, because especially for the devotees, actually who are doing actually executing the or try to follow this path for many years, so sometime actually it feels like that you lose or you wane your enthusiasm, because I actually experienced it myself, that actually when you actually start on this path, maybe in the initial year you're very enthusiastic, you're very attentive, and actually you are doing your services very actually carefully, But actually to do this on daily basis, and for many years, sometime actually it can actually become a drag, because if you're not following all the rules and regulations properly, then you will think that it will become a burden. So I remember this actually, Srila Prabhupada also statement, where he said that actually if you're not following the regulatory principles, and the instructions as given in the actually the scriptures properly, then actually this daily service that they would do, the actually the puja or chanting, or the services, whatever services, it can become overwhelming sometime. You will think that this is like a job, and sometimes you lose enthusiasm as well. Or even I can see that actually people lose interest, over time. So how to remain enthusiastic? It is said that actually, there could be number of reasons, that actually you can actually lose your enthusiasm, but it can actually, first thing again is comes to the same, and the ABCs, actually that Avinash Prabhu also said, that the association, the books, and chanting. The association is very key. Keep oneself enthusiastic. You have to be in the association of the right people. Like-minded people. Like as we actually get together. Hare Krishna program. So the mood here is actually the similar mood. For all the devotees. That actually we do not talk about materialistic things here. There is no politics or anything. That actually it's only subject matter related to actually Krishna is always being discussed. And there is a realization program, and actually we are hearing each other's realizations, and how the actually things are progressing. So actually by actually being in that association and listening to others realizations, the activities they are doing is actually inspiring us as well. So actually remaining in a actually good association, or Srila Prabhupada says that one has to actually associate with the actually, one has to try to associate with the pure devotees, actually, or the devotees advanced than you. By doing that, actually, you are in a right kind of association, and actually that will actually inspire you to actually progress. So that is a key thing. And also reading a scripture, one has to study yourself. If you only rely on actually just coming here and listening to the realization of other devotees, then it's very easy to lose the interest. Because if you yourself study the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada's small books, they are small books, but as you know, they're all from the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. There's a small, actually, all those books talk about the Srimad Bhagavatam instruction as well. And I find them actually very inspiring. Actually, when I read myself, then actually you will always find actually Srila Prabhupada's purpose. Even actually the same purpose, you come across, you will always actually find something new, or actually that is inspiring, that will keep you going on this path of devotion. So actually the association and actually the reading the scriptures, and one has to actually try to implement those instructions practically. So that is actually it's not easy thing to do, that actually to implement all the instructions, but one has to actually at least has to make an effort to implement that. So here Srila Prabhupada actually also point out that he made a statement in Bhagavatam that association with the saintly devotees is man's highest achievement. So how important association is highlighted by the statement. And Srila Prabhupada says that is the highest achievement if you are actually associating with the saintly person. So we are very fortunate that actually we have been actually given association. We always discuss here about the Srila Prabhupada's books, or Srila Prabhupada's instruction, or His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj. They are the pure devotees, and we are always been actually taught the instruction coming from them. And actually we are only discussing those subject matters, and we do not discuss the mundane subject matters. So actually the association that we get is very inspiring for me as well, and for anyone who actually attend this program, that will actually ensure that we are on a right track. The second thing actually, which is actually I was thinking that actually it can become a real problem in actually executing our devotional service, even you are doing the actually chanting or your daily sadhana, is that actually the offense, that we may commit towards the pure devotees or the devotees actually who are in the preaching, So there are 10 offenses. One of the first offenses is the actually devotees who are in a preaching business. They're preaching, and we should not actually in any way offend them. Because committing offense to a Vaishnava, yeah, is very serious. And that can actually destroy one's devotional service. Uh, there is actually statement. I was reading through. I wanted to share that. Offending or blaspheming a Vaishnava has been described as the greatest offense. It has been compared to the mad elephant. When a mad elephant enters a garden, it ruins all the creepers, flowers, and trees. Similarly, if a devotee properly executing his devotional service become an offender at the lotus feet of his spiritual master or other Vaishnava, his devotional service is spoiled. So actually, one has to be very, very careful. That we should not commit a Vaishnava offense. That any of the 10 offenses, not just Vaishnava offense. That are actually detrimental to the progress of our devotional service. So sometime you have to actually, even after doing all the 16 rounds, actually, doing the puja, offering, if you think you're not progressing or you're losing your enthusiasm, then you have to actually scrutinize, what actually going wrong, If you have actually committed any offense towards any devotees, or if you have done anything wrong, then you have to actually need to rectify it. So Krishna actually can test, your actually your seriousness, or he can test your actually your enthusiasm as well in the devotional service. Or if you have committed offense, then he will give the opportunity to rectify it, as well. So one has to actually self-reflect, that you have to check yourself that actually if you are progressing or not, and if you're not progressing, why you're not progressing. So you don't have to figure it out yourself. You can approach your counselors. You can approach your spiritual master. That you can actually discuss these things, and you can actually take a guidance. They can actually they can actually lead you. Actually what needed to be done. So this is very important to actually keep the enthusiasm. Always actually that you should feel enthusiastic, because if you are actually doing these activities on daily basis, and it become a routine, if you're actually doing the puja, doing the offering, you're doing the chanting, but if it's not actually helping you progress, it just become a routine, mechanical, then it is not very helpful. I remember actually his holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj also said that actually your chanting should not become a routine. You should always feel fresh, and very alert every day when you chant. So that should be actually the mood, when you chant. Then that will actually inspire you to chant even more and more and become serious. So this is very easy to actually, it can become a routine, it can become very mechanical as well. But actually still it's very important that even actually going through a difficult time, that you should complete your rounds. You are, even if you can't focus, still at least you should complete your rounds. You should try your best to focus, but still that just because you can't focus, you should not become an excuse not to actually complete your rounds. So the another actually the aspect actually is there could be actually family problems, or professional life, your job or whatever business you do. The problems that you actually encounter or experience in those areas can also have an impact on your devotional service. So I was just actually thinking practically, because I do not just want to actually talk of philosophy, because this is what I actually experienced myself. So that these things actually can take toll, so that if you are having actually difficult time in your actually job or professional life, so you may actually feel pressure that actually it can actually impact the quality of chanting or the time that is available to you. Even for the students, when you are in exams, obviously you will struggle to find a time to do all your 16 rounds. So I was actually meditating, or actually I remember some actually instructions, actually that when I was new, that actually whenever I was quite busy with my actually exams, or with my job, then when you don't get time for chanting, then actually still you have to actually, even if you normally, it's not good to chant when it's actually very late in the night. You should finish your chanting, as early as possible. But if you couldn't, still you should stay awake and still complete your rounds before you sleep. So that is a commitment actually you need to show. So that one thing actually, I learned, while actually I was actually while in initial stages, that I have seen that actually, the senior devotees, they may be very busy, throughout the day, during the big festival, but they still used to chant late night and complete chanting. That is a commitment. So we have to actually, we should learn to implement these things, rather than actually leaving the chanting for the next day. So we have to actually, has to be very very serious, about actually having those actually the vows that we have taken, that we have to actually keep them. Even some way, if you couldn't able to do the chanting, then we should keep account. So I remember actually, the actually Amrish Prabhu told us that, Guru Maharaj used to say that we should keep the account of our chanting like a bank balance. You know, so actually, if you actually not chanted few rounds, today, or it could be accumulating for a few days, then we should keep account, and actually every day, as soon as possible, we have to actually clear that, backlog, so we can become a regular, chanting. Just because you have missed, few rounds in the past few days, just don't forget about that and continue from the next day. That's again lost opportunity. One has to be very serious. Go back and actually clear the backlog as well. So as we become more and more serious, then actually this will actually help us. It will become a nature that, especially I myself have experienced that once it become a backlog, it become very actually difficult to catch up later on. So I actually later, the way I actually manage it is that no matter how late it is, I'm not going to sleep until I finish the chanting. So you feel relaxed. At least you have done your chanting somehow. So these things, actually, even you are very busy, the least you can do is the actually complete your chanting. Especially when you actually traveling and all that, you may not have the time to do the puja. Then actually you can at least recite the prayer where you are. So that actually Maharaj instructed us. Even you are on railway station, there is no difficulty early in the morning. You can recite all your prayers, that you actually sing during the puja. Nobody stopping you. So these are the instruction that are very very important. Even I'm, in whatever condition that I used to reside. Even you have to travel for the business. You go to the different cities, that you cannot perform the puja, or all those rituals that you every day you do. But at least you can sit at one place, and actually fold your hands and sing all those prayers. So that will actually keep you actually on track, and you will not lose the interest. Or it's very easy to get into the routine or actually skip things. I have also actually means, have experienced that the situation where your family is not very actually, uh, very supportive, when you try to become a devotee. It's a best that actually, if your whole family is interested and everybody is on the same path, that they are interested in chanting or serving Krishna. So that's ideal situation, that the whole family is actually engaged in doing the devotional service. So if it is like that, you are very fortunate. But I have seen things where actually that the only one person is interested. Maybe husband is interested, wife is not interested, or wife is interested, husband is not interested, or rest of the family is not actually not at all interested. So you will face a lot of problems, in keeping actually your devotional service going, especially doing these things, the puja, the offerings, or chanting, because I have seen the practical problems that actually they will actually try to criticize you, or they will question you why you do this. There is no need to do this at such a young age. They will give you many excuses, try to pull you down. So in that actually situation, is very, even actually somebody tell you that not to go to the, actually do not attend the programs or not to chant. So these things has happened, but one has to be very, very strong, one has to be very, very determined, that actually these things should not actually drag you down, that at least, actually people who are actually criticizing you, not to chant or something, you try to avoid them, actually you can actually have some time, dedicated, that nobody will disturb you, you can chant, you do not chant in front of them. So these things can come, I have also seen the devotees where actually devotees who want to follow, they have been actually stopped, and actually they have actually been threatened, if you do not do those things, you will not be allowed to go and attend the classes or do your chanting, so these things can actually happen. I know these are the practical problems, but actually one has to actually seek their actually, the guidance from their actually counselors, or the senior devotees who are serious on this path, they will lead you properly what needed to be done, that Krishna consciousness, as Srila Prabhupada says, very dynamic, no material things can actually stop your devotional service, that you don't really have to have a temple, or you need to go to the temple, there's no need of that. You can actually perform the devotional service from your home. Even if you can't do the deity worship, you can at least, close your eyes and you can chant, Srila Prabhupada says that anyone can go and sit under a tree and chant Hare Krishna, and that is actually they can still perfect their lives. So the material impediments, like this, they cannot hold anybody's, or cannot restrict anybody's actually devotional service. Also, the one of the thing I was actually come across while meditating on this subject matter is that I myself also experiences that yes, actually, when you are actually doing the chanting or all these services on daily basis, or you are also preaching, because our program that everybody actually there is mood that everybody should become a preacher, and they should preach to the other people. So when you do this, obviously you will become very, very busy. You will struggle to find a time, especially you are actually if you're preaching, that for example, actually even Ambrish Prabhu, Avinash Prabhu, they are very much actually dedicating a lot of their time in preaching activities, whatever, they're taking many classes, they are running all this actually WhatsApp groups, sending messages. It takes a lot of time, and I have also experienced even I'm doing very little service. So time, no time, and Srila Prabhupada says that no time is a chronic disease of a modern civilization. Okay, so he said that I was actually meditating on this instruction that everybody, even in the last class, Avinash Prabhu says that everyone has 24 hours, not less, not more. I was listening to his class as well, which is true. Everyone has given same amount of time, and everyone will struggle. Everyone when still he will say is busy. He is not doing devotional services. If he's not actually engaged in serving Krishna, he will be engaged in serving something else. That is actually the reality. So how to actually find a time, I struggle, I actually struggle myself to find a time to read, by doing all these things. But actually we had this discussion that actually I thought I should share, that Krishna, the time is actually is a personification of Krishna, and time is personified, so he is a time element. Krishna himself is time. Okay, so we had discussion where it is said that actually Krishna is a time. Then actually when you use your time in Krishna's service, then actually Krishna will give you more time to do your devotional services. Okay. That actually, if you are sincerely using all your time in Krishna's service, then you will have more time available, if you want to do more service. So this is quite mystical, actually you might say, oh, it's just, nice to hear, but in practicality, is that what happens? So actually, Ambrish Pur gave the example of Srila Prabhupada. Actually, Srila Prabhupada is a such advanced age. He went to the USA, America, and he started this organization, and he actually traveled all over the world, about 14 times, and actually established, actually Krishna conscious centers and temples all around the world. At the same time, he wrote 80 plus books, including Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam 18, all those cantos that he translated, all these small books. So you can think that actually how much effort it takes for ordinary person to write a single book, So it's not very easy task, And Srila Prabhupada was doing preaching, actually traveling. He was giving lectures. He was actually, late at night, he was actually doing all the translations, and writing all the books. And still, while doing all that, such an advanced age, he still has a time for all his devotees as well. So that anybody who goes to see, he used to see, everyone who used to actually come and see him. I can see that there's a long actually archive of all the letters that he wrote to all his devotees. So I was actually also thinking, when Srila Prabhupada find all this time to write actually, personal letter to all his devotees, answering all their questions, for us here actually to give one class, actually we become very actually restless that, oh, actually I have to prepare for so many days to give you one class, you feel very nervous. But Srila Prabhupada was doing actually, he writing books, he was traveling, he was preaching, he's solving all, he was managing such a big institute and ISKCON. And at the same time, actually, he was giving time to everyone as well. So, but one thing is Srila Prabhupada is, he's actually Mahabhagavad, he's pure devotee, His only business was to actually preach Krishna consciousness. So he was using all his time in Krishna's service. So Krishna always gave him, more time, So we can actually, try to implement the same, actually the realization, and that if you are using actually time in Krishna's service, then somehow you will find a time, because this time is actually very actually common complaint that I do not have a time, whenever you ask actually people who come to our program, you say, oh, are you chanting 6 rounds? No time, I'm busy with here, and there's a marriage, there is this thing, that thing, there is always, somebody's sick, they're actually children's actually activities, all that, and you cannot refute anything, they're all actually genuine complaints, we don't say they're lying, but actually unless you put effort, that you're not going to see the results. That's why I say that you take one step towards Krishna, then Krishna will take 1,000 steps towards you, So even actually, all the actually, even we actually, we started now giving classes, So initially it was very hard for us to give a single class, we used to be very, very nervous. And even actually to start your own preaching program, I never imagined I can ever able to do it, But once you actually start doing it, this thing can happen. There is a great saying by actually this saintly person, Sant Tukaram, he's actually from the Maharashtra. He was a devotee of Lord Vitthal. So he said one thing, actually there's a Marathi saying, is say, Keल्याने होत आहे रे अधिक केलेची पाहिजे. You understand Marathi, anyone? Okay. So what it means that actually, if you want to actually do something, first you start doing it, So unless you don't actually make a start doing it, that thing will never be actually get done. You need to get stuck into, make a start. And even actually before I come into this actually devotional line, I heard this many times when I was in school, and that actually statement always inspired me in my studies as well. When you become very actually bogged down by actually huge work in front of you, so that when this is going to be finished, people just actually accept defeat before they even start sometime, so you have to make a start, so same things you can use here, so this is also a devotee of Krishna who instructed this, that you have to make a start, even I remember this actually, the Srila Prabhupada's instruction, that actually one of the devotee, he said that actually everyone is bowing down to him, actually offering respect, but he said that he do not feel like to do it, I do not feel like to bow down, because I don't feel that way. Srila Prabhupada says you do it, and by doing it, you will get that feeling. So actually, first you have to put the effort, at least, because the same thing in a devotional service as well. That unless you do, you actually make an effort, that thing will not actually come to you. So now for us, for me, even the biggest challenge is that we hear about actually pure devotional service. You hear the kathas of a great devotees, that actually how they have performed their devotional service. And when I think of them now, and when I compare myself, I said, there is no way I can get there. Okay, because it seems very actually unattainable, that I'm not that strong, or I can make that actually, make it happen. But actually, at least if you can make a start, you go step by step, one day you will get there. It may be a long path, but one day you will get there. So having that faith, and actually making that effort, that actually, if you do that, then Krishna will actually give you all the intelligence and all the strength that actually you need to walk that path. So this is very, very important. When people complain that they do not have time, or they do not, even they say they do not understand, have intelligence to actually understand and preach to the other people. So one has to make the effort. Actually, unless you put the effort, there is no result. Because there are many stories. I remembered that where it is said that actually the Srila Prabhupada has instructed some devotees to actually go and start the newspaper or publication, and they have never done that job before ever in their life. No idea. But actually, they actually did it on the instruction of Srila Prabhupada, and they were very successful. So, the actually instruction of the pure devotee, if you act on them, and when the devotee give you the service, then they will actually bless you with all the strength and intelligence as well. Okay. So Krishna is the similar, actually, if you're engaging yourself, he will actually bless you with all those required things, whatever the intelligence, or actually, the skill that you need, or strength that you need to walk that path. And the last one, actually, maybe because of time, there's another important thing, is the actually your health. Actually, the health is very important in devotional service. That actually means, even Srila Prabhupada says that actually you should not ignore your health. You should always take care of your health, because you need a good health. Because to do devotional service, unless you have good health, you will not able to actually do the services. Because I have myself engaged, because when your health is not in order, then everything become disturbed. So, and actually, even there are instruction on how to remain in a good health. Bhagavad Gita speak about what kind of diet you should take. So there is all these instruction are there. So we all have been actually taught. We don't eat onion, garlic. We don't eat any intoxicants. So if you follow these regulative principles, and actually try to keep your diet, as instructed. Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that you should accept very simple food stuff. Prasad, very simple, not opulent, and you should wear very simple clothing. So that is the instruction for the devotees. Try to remain actually. We should not become attached to actually the very opulent things, because that is another attachment. And if you keep your actually diet very simple, even Amrish Prabhu told you, this now new SOS, where no salt, no sugar, So even Maharaj says that these are the white poisons. If you stay away from these things, sugar, salt, or even oil, that actually your diet, if it's like that, then you will have actually naturally you will have a good health. So if you follow this instruction, they are very, very important. Even we think that they are very simple instruction, but those will play very key role, because I have myself experienced a health problem, and to get out of that, I have to put a big effort, to get to the proper health that you can actually continue your services. So you first you're all, most of all the new devotees, they are young, you're in good health. So if you maintain it, there will not be any problems later in your life. So that will actually create a impediment in your devotional service. So with a good health, you can do many services. If you lose a health, you lose everything. So it's very important to actually take care of your health as well. And it is said that you should only accept prasadam. Okay. So if you want to actually have your devotional service, we keep progressing, because in Bhagavad Gita I said that actually when you accept prasad, then it purifies your actually body, body cells, all the cells will be purified. And actually even it will purify the cells in your brain, and ultimately your intelligence will be purified. And when your intelligence will be purified, then you will think about nivritti marg, okay, not pravritti marg. Pravritti means sense gratification. Nivritti means we're talking about the vairagya, detachment. So that intelligence will manifest just by actually honoring prasad. So if you actually control your diet accordingly, accepting prasad only, that is again helpful. That's why Srila Prabhupada was very particular. Any new people, come to this movement, they always give them a first thing is a prasad, have prasad, and then rest of the things will follow. So that's why there is a great importance of prasad as well. And the last thing, actually very important, I don't have enough time, but we learn all this philosophy in this program, right? We get all the instruction. And actually other devotees also highlighted this, that there is a not a problem. We don't have problem of knowledge. We get all the knowledge in this program, right? Actually we get all knowledge that we need, but actually to implement that practically is a real challenge. Unless you implement it, there is no real progress. And to implement that, you need to actually have this ability to change. If you're not prepared to change, then everything stops there. Because I have seen this, that actually people come, they come here to the instruction, they have prasad, everything, but they are not prepared to make any changes in their daily, routine. They do not want to read books. They do not want to actually preach. They do not want to actually, chant seriously or improve the focus. So if you're not prepared to change, then everything stops there. So this is very important, that one has to actually prepared to change as per the instruction, no matter how hard it is. You can take a small steps, but you have to change. So if you change, then actually there is a real progress. And ultimately you can always take shelter of holy name. The chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is said as a Ramban Upa. If you're struggling in any area, if you chant sincerely, you pray sincerely, then actually with the blessings of Guru Shish Parampara and the Krishna, all those problems will be actually solved. Actually you just need to follow these instructions. So these are the actually realizations, and ultimately actually the all these things we are doing to remember Krishna, all the services that we're executing, the ultimate aim is to remember Krishna. Because if you don't remember Krishna, and Srila Prabhupada always said that if you fill your life, if you fill your life with actually things related to the Krishna, so chanting, doing different services, preparing bhoga, offering bhoga, preaching. So if you fill your life with the Krishna's memories, then definitely when you leave your body, there is no doubt that you will remember Krishna. So I would like to actually, I will conclude my discussion by referring to this verse from the Bhagavad Gita, where it says that Ant kaleche mameva smaran mukta kalevaram यह प्रयाति स मद्भावम yati nasti atra samshayah. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone, at once attain my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So actually this is a Bhagavad Gita instruction. Actually Krishna actually instructing. So Srila Prabhupada says that actually one has to make sure that they actually practice this actually chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and actually remember Krishna through this actually doing various services, that ultimately their whole life will be filled with the actually Krishna's actually memories. And ultimately you will remember Krishna, because for an impure soul there is no chance they can actually remember Krishna when they leave their body. But if you actually try to purify your existence by following all these instructions, then definitely with actually all your practice, so devotional service is called a practice, devotional practice. So you practice this on daily basis, so that at the time of examination you can actually remember Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Anyone actually has any questions or any realizations? Means I did my actually, I tried to actually summarize it actually within an hour, whatever actually studied. But I could have even actually, Amrish Prabhu or Avinash Prabhu, if I miss any points, you can actually correct it, if I have spoken anything incorrect.
Or if you can hear me?
Yes, brother. Now I can hear you. Yes.
Now you could hear. Okay, not before.
No.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for your nice realizations. You're very practical also. I quite like the latter part of your presentation, with a lot of practical things, which are very nice, and many important points you brought up. Implementation of the scripture knowledge is within us. Nobody can force us to implement it. That is the main highlight point. So from our side, in Hare Krishna, we can give everybody knowledge, as you correctly said. But all of us have to implement it on our own. A guru can give knowledge, can take you to the knowledge, but implementing the knowledge, a guru cannot do. That is for the disciple to do, and there is no two ways about it. Anybody else can say something else is wrong. But ultimately, we all have to remember Krishna. So very nice. I hope all of you have registered some more points today in the second part of the series. We'll have more such requests I'll make to other devotees. They can speak on the subject. It is very practical. The remembrance of Krishna is the most important thing in our lives. Everything should surmount to this. We spend our time, we analyze the subject matters, we keep you, interested. All the preachers, different angles we talk about, examples we take, intelligence we scratch, so that we can then remember Krishna. So very nice. I'm very happy the way it is progressing. Let us see where Guru Maharaj and Krishna wants us to go further on this subject. And remember this, chanting of the holy name, another point, is the summum bonum of everything. That is true. There are many, many points, many so-called impediments, which you do not know now. You know over a period of time. But remember one thing, there are no impediments in chanting of the holy name. And sincere chanting of the holy name of the Lord can take you wherever you want to go. All other rules and regulations are needed for bhakti, for different processes. They are needed. They are not needed. But everything else can be achieved by achieving sincere chanting. And who can do sincere chanting? Only we can do sincere chanting. I cannot chant for you. Just like I cannot practically implement the scriptures given for you. I can show you. I mean, it's not I want to say that any leader can show. Gurus can show. But we cannot implement it for you. Similarly, chanting of the holy name, we can show you how you chant, what you do. How you can go into ecstasy. People think about Krishna and they go in ecstasy. Devotees meaning that one. Association meaning you talk about Krishna and they say you're such a nice devotee, better than me. Thank you very much. But you have to beg for mercy to give knowledge. And when they are satisfied, they give you knowledge. This is devotee association in its true form. What Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about, what all our acharyas scriptures talk about, this association. Very intimate amongst devotees. How they support each other. What is this? No dirt. So just a final point, as all of these points are covered in today's class. This point is also covered that we make sure that we do not have any other disturbance in our programs. No politics, no thinking about this, no thinking about that. If you think yourself, it's your problem. We don't blame. We try to keep only one problem. Only one problem should be very fiery in our program, in our heart. How to remember Krishna. That's it. As long as we are facing this problem, that means we are not wasting time on anything else, other political situation or time waste. Everything else is waste of time. Complete waste of time. In preaching, we have to work double hard, triple hard, 4 times hard. No 10 times hard, no 100 times hard, no 1,000 times hard, no 1,000 times square hard, to make sure that there should be no other difficulty in the program devotees who are following, or those who are following us today, when I'm alive, tomorrow when I'm dead and gone, forgotten. But this problem, whoever you are preaching today, you'll become leaders of tomorrow. So you follow this, make sure there should be no other difficulty in our Hare Krishna WECAN program. Wherever you're preaching, whatever form you're preaching, just only keep one problem in life for everybody who is following you: how to remember Krishna. They should come and ask you, what should I do to remember Krishna? You know, nothing else. If anything else, they talk about this person said this, that person said that, there is this, there is this, all politics, useless. That means you're preaching, you've mixed something else in preaching. It's not pure. We work very, very hard to keep under the radar of lot of personalities, and it is 1,000 times square times hard. Make sure. So please, this is how Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj would always want us to perform our bhakti, and keep it very short, very simple, very straightforward. So very nice. I'm very happy with both the leaders who spoke in last and previous lecture. So yeah, wonderful. Okay, now whose turn is it to sing Maharaj, Maharaj, please hear us today?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
हरे कृष्णा. नवीन माताजी, तुमचा टर्न आहे आज.
Yes, Prabhuji.
हो प्रभूजी.
Oh, Prabhuji.
हो येस काय येस हो म्हणायचं. अच्छा अच्छा, छान पैकी सिंग करा ऍक्शन करून, आणि आम्ही तुमच्या पाठीमागे नाही, आम्ही तुमच्या तुम्हाला फॉलो करू. ठीक आहे ना?
Oh,
ओके,
Prabhuji.
1 2 3 सुरू करा.
Maharaj, Maharaj, please hear us.
Maharaj, Maharaj, please hear us.
We have learned some real good stuff.
We have learned some real good stuff.
Maharaj, we have learned one thing.
Maharaj, we have learned one thing.
And today for you we will sing.
Today for you we will sing.
If our room is clean,
If our room is clean,
then our mind is clean.
then our mind is clean.
If our mind is clean,
If our mind is clean,
we can do anything.
we can do anything.
If our room is dirty,
If our room is dirty,
then so are we.
then so are we.
And if we are dirty,
And if we are dirty,
we're not happy.
we're not happy.
Wasting time
Wasting time
is the greatest crime.
is the greatest crime.
Because wasted time
Because wasted time
means a wasted mind.
is a wasted mind.
So best use your time
So best use your time
when you're in your prime.
when you're in your prime.
And your whole life
Your whole life
will be sublime.
will be sublime.
If the health is gone,
If your health is gone,
then there's nothing wrong.
then there's nothing wrong.
But if your health is gone,
But if your health is gone,
that's a different song.
that's a different song.
But if your character dies,
But if your character dies,
then the world will cry.
then the world will cry.
Only saintly behavior
Only saintly behavior
lets humanity die.
lets humanity die.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
We must always remember Krishna
We must always remember Krishna,
and never forget him too.
never forget him too.
But how are we to practice this with so many things
How are we to practice this with so many things to do?
That is the greatest question.
That is the greatest question.
And here is the greatest clue.
And here is the greatest clue.
You must learn to work so nicely that Krishna remembers you.
You must learn to work so nicely that Krishna remembers you.
So listen very closely.
So listen very closely
And make your thinking sharp.
and make your thinking sharp.
Let's learn how we can live and work so Krishna won't depart.
Let's learn how we can live and work so Krishna won't depart.
If something's due tomorrow,
If something's due tomorrow,
finish it today.
finish it today.
So whatever's due today,
And what is due today,
do it now, don't delay.
do it now, don't delay.
Your friends may feel lazy
If your friends find me lazy
or doing bad things.
or doing bad things,
You think again,
you think again,
don't follow them,
don't follow them,
and you will win in the end.
and you will win in the end.
Whatever work we're given,
Whatever work we given,
we do our very best.
we do our very best.
We only live with what we need and give Krishna the rest.
We only live with what we need and give Krishna the rest.
This is how to live, to work, and to play. If you learn to live this way, we'll see Krishna and read Hare.
This is how to live, to work and to play. If we learn to live this way, we'll see Krishna every day.
Now when the time is up, he'll take himself above. We sing and dance with him with our hearts full of love. To chant Krishna's name, His glories and His fame, His only way this world will ever become famed.
To chant Krishna's name, His glories and His fame. The only way this world will ever become free.
Now please ask this greatest question,
Now please ask this greatest question
then find this greatest clue.
and find this greatest clue.
You can only remember Krishna
You can only remember Krishna
if Krishna remembers you.
if Krishna remembers you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
His Holiness Srila Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Goswami Bhutale Shrimati Mahavishnu Goswami Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Goswami Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaumani Pashayana Nivishesha Vari Sari. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Krishna willing, we'll see you next week. Same place, same time. Till then, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Hare Krishna. So now
Hare
somebody has to
Krishna.
write down the point for next week's class, continuation of what we discussed, what we concluded for the beginners program. So who would like to write this, please? Just raise your hand or say something. Deepak Prabhu, you said you raised first, so you can do it, please. Write down the points that we said, so everybody is nicely prepared, Do it by before Wednesday, so everybody's got enough time. Very nice. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
See you,
Thank you.
Krishna willing, we'll see you next week, same place, same time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Guruji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Ram Ram. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.